So, uh, what's the biggest race you've won?
Um, it's tough to say. Um, so it wasn't necessarily one race, but it was more of a week long event. It was in Nashville for the Nashville Spring Series in a legend car.
Mhm.
I'm not from Nashville area. I'm from Florida. So going up there, we ran 2 weeks before the Spring Series, and we won both races up in Nashville for kind of the prelim nights, you could kind of call it. Then we went there for the tour, the INEX Spring Series, and we swept all six races. So that was kind of like my most memorable event that I've done and kind of coolest thing as well. So I'd probably say that's my coolest race I've won. But last year I also did win a super late model race in Auburndale. So I think that's another cool award I can add.
Yeah, for sure. Have you considered competing in IndyCar like Kyle Larson has recently, or?
Not really. I've never really had the opportunity to really go open wheel, you could say. So it's not really crossed my mind. But I'd be game for anything.
Yeah, for sure. What's your funniest memory you have in your racing journey?
Um, it was in a go kart actually. The steering wheel. In a go kart, you have a pin to lock the steering wheel in place.
Hmm.
So I pulled it out just to get the wheel turned, and I guess I didn't pull it out all the way. And so I pulled off the grid going into turn three, and the pin fell back in place. So the steering wheel was locked. So I had to jam on the brakes, pull the pin out, and somehow I didn't wreck the cart. I was shocked. But I'd probably say that's my funniest but scariest memory.
Yeah. Have you ever raced at the Unser go-kart track out in Denver?
I've not.
You should look into that. I attempted it once, but I crashed a lot and passed other cars during cautions because of how fast they were. They go up to like 50 to 60 miles per hour. And I didn't have the experience with that, but it was sort of funny, just running into anything and everything. Like that would have been like a Harry Hyde moment in Days of Thunder with you should hit the pace car because it's the only thing you haven't hit,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, I know what you mean. That's funny.
Yeah. So, what's the biggest achievement so far have you had as a driver?
Um, I'd probably say winning the Sunshine State Racing Award of Driver of the Year in Florida.
Mhm.
As you know, Florida has some pretty solid drivers: Stephen Assey, Cody Stickler. There's a good competition in Florida, and to win that award, it was special to me. So I'd probably say that was a pretty big one for me. And then winning the INEX Young Lions National Championship, that's another pretty big award for me. Just because that was our first year where we really went after the points. And people attempt national championships for years, and to accomplish it my first year trying, I feel like that's pretty respectful, and I thought it was pretty amazing to do it.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
really, really awesome. How did it feel winning that award? Like, did you feel like it was like the biggest thing, or did you think that it was the biggest thing for the time being?
The INEX award or the Driver of the Year?
Let's just say both.
Um, I'd say the Driver of the Year was kind of just a shock a little bit because they kind of do things like you do, interviews, and so they do it on Zoom and they Facebook Live it. So that's what they do. So I just kind of thought it was another interview that I was doing with them, but it ended up being that award. And so I thought it was kind of just it caught me off guard. I didn't really know what to say. I was just so thankful, and I didn't really have time to prepare for it either. So it was kind of on the spot, but I wouldn't change anything about it. I was so grateful for it. And then winning the INEX national title, it was kind of a year long thing. Like we've been going at this since January, and to finally seal a deal in Vegas in November, it was pretty special for the entire team, my parents and myself included. And so to finally get that award was in February when they had the banquet. It was kind of a surreal moment.
Got it. Have you ever raced on road courses or just ovals?
I've not just ovals.
Have you raced dirt or have you raced asphalt?
So in my go-karts, there were dirt oval go-karts. So that was really the only dirt experience I have, which is, it's still dirt, but you use tire prep. So it's kind of locked down, kind of like pavement, you could say. And then from go-karts up, I've been strictly asphalt.
Got it. What are the longest races on the go-kart schedules that you've run?
Um, I ran a few 50 lappers. They do have a 100 lapper. It's called the World of 100 at Jasper Motor Speedway. Always wanted to do it. Just never had the opportunity to do it. But I ran a few 50 lappers. Most of them are 25 laps.
Got it. How hard is it to climb through the field in go-karts to the lead when you start at the back?
It's pretty tough. I mean, obviously, depending on what track it is, it all varies. You be tight track, small track, big track, drafting track. A lot of variables go into it. But lots of the time, you guys are pretty close in speed, and it all comes down to who makes the least amount of mistakes. And so you really just have to ride behind somebody, or you can move them out of the way, which it happens. Like, that's part of racing, and go-karts especially. That's kind of just you get some, you move them, and then you're gone. And there's no hard feelings, because I'm sure it's happened to everybody that's raced a go-kart before. So it's tough. You could say it's really tough.
Yeah. What's the biggest disappointment as a driver that you've had in a race?
Um, it was the first pro late model race of the season last year for Auburn Speedway, and I qualified pole by like 2/10. The car was just on rails. Good in practice all day. Got out early, got the lead. It was a 50-lap race, and then I led, I want to say 44 of the 50 laps. There was a yellow, and I got beat by Steve Dorr after that. And so after that moment, I told myself I'm never going to let that happen again. So I've been prepared for another moment like that. That's probably the most disappointing, just because, how good the car was and how good everything was, and it didn't go our way.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So, what are your hopes for 2024?
I have some pretty big shoes to fill for Highlands Motorsports. Caden Quapple won the Car Sport Championship last year. So I feel like I have nothing less to prove than, win a Car Sport Championship. And then, ultimately with Rev Racing, win as many races as we can. We're not really running an exact series or, track points. So we're kind of just going after wins with Rev. And then we're going after wins. Like I said, we're going to try to win as many as we can. And, I really feel like we can do that.
Yeah, for sure. If you keep up what you're doing, you're going to eventually hit the road to NASCAR.
I hope so.
Yeah. So this is my final question I have, which is how can your journey impact race fans so far?
Being from Tampa, there's not many drivers from Tampa, you could say. Making, really venturing out of Florida. Like I moved up to North Carolina by myself recently to pursue Rev Racing, and there's lots of younger kids that I know from go karting to legend cars that, everybody's trying to make it to NASCAR, and you can really just whatever you put your mind to, you can pursue it. So just know the skies, it's not the limit. Shoot for the stars, and whatever you put your mind to, you can accomplish it.
Definitely. If a young 78 team could go on to win the Cup championship, certainly someone in Tampa can for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's all I have for now. But where can people find you?
They can find me on pretty much every social media you can really think of. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. That's what I'm most popular on, and I'm most active on. It's TJ DeCaire Racing. That's what I post quite frequently. Race updates, results, upcoming races. Everything you can think of, I post on.
Yep. Let's keep our fingers crossed that one day you'll be in victory lane at Daytona.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah, that would be awesome to see. All right, so everybody, please check out TJ on his Instagram and Facebook, and please hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week for the next episode of SFM.
Sounds good. Thank you.